Have you told your friends that you see ghosts?
Oh, absolutely not.
Gina Rodriguez returns in Not Dead Yet.
I'm back, baby!
Who is up?
Oh, she's the obituary writer.
And Brad Garrett joins the brilliant ensemble cast.
Titan, Maverick, Titan of all Mavericks. These are all words used to describe me.
Not Dead Yet. Season premiere. Tonight, 8:30, 7:30 Central on ABC. And stream on Hulu.
Hey, happy 4th of July from the HMN crew. This week we're participating in potato sack races, blowing up congressmen, talking about phantom limbs, and speaking in very slow, monotone voices about everything because we watched Uncle Sam this week on Horror Movie Night or something, I guess.
Needs more robotic voicing. The thing is that most people weren't. It didn't seem like they were depressed as much as
never acted a day in their life.
Yeah, it's very comical. Here's a little backstory. This, like Demon Wind and Jack Frost, as we've mentioned previously, had one of those holographic covers, and so of course I thought it's gonna be badass, and it's not. But I think I saw it. This come out in '96.
Yep.
So I'm guessing I saw it. Holy shit! Summer before I went into high school, so which would have been like right around 4th of July, 1997.
Okay.
Oh my god, that's just depressing and embarrassing. But I remember
that's over 20 years ago, Scott.
Yeah, my shame for having watched this movie is old enough to drink a beer. So I've seen this movie twice now. Never again, because it's not. So, I've been thinking about this quick little non sequitur. Well, it's relative to what we're talking about. I think that we have gotten somewhat of a reputation for shitting on the movies that we talk about. And I want to set it straight. Like, if we really hated this stuff, we wouldn't be watching it.
Yeah, I say it's a comedic celebration of the flaws in the movies that we love.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know multiple times on Reddit when you've posted about us, people have been like, oh, isn't that the podcast that shits on the movies? Not really. I mean, the world is not black and white. It's gray. There's a lot of shit to hate about the movies that we watch, particularly this one. But they're also charming. This movie still is kind of charming. Not necessarily as charming as last week's movie, obviously. But I will say that I liked this movie. So the reason I mention that is I was very underwhelmed by this as a 14-year-old or whatever. I thought it was going to be better, and it was very tame, and I was disappointed watching it 4th of July weekend of 1997. I am watching it as a full-blown middle-aged man, and I had more fun watching it this time, but that doesn't say a whole lot.
I had so much fun watching this movie.
Well, and it's from the director of the Maniac Cop trilogy and the original
Holy
Maniac.
Shit, that makes wait, the original Maniac?
Yeah, from the 80s.
Wait, what's his name?
William Langston or something like that.
Yeah. Wow.
Lustig. Yeah.
Lustig. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Damn. I don't know, man. The first Maniac isn't that great. It's just famous for being incredibly gratuitous. It's pretty bonkers. And this movie is way, way more tame than anything else. Even Maniac Cop is like a pretty bonkers thriller. It's not really a horror movie so much as a cop thriller, but this movie is a straight horror movie.
Yeah.
But the pacing is what sucks about it.
So let's get into it, because Brian has a lot that he wants to say at the start of this, but the movie, we'll get to a certain point, and then I want Brian to do his like list of notes that he's excited about. But the first 40 minutes of this movie is very slow, but once the killing begins, it just completely is like a tonal shift of like just a death every 5 minutes. So I will say the backstory for this, as you said, I think Brian and I both probably saw this in 1997.
Mm-hmm.
We've mentioned him once before, but our Uncle Craig used to run a local deli, and he would put out almost exclusively horror movies for people to rent from his deli.
Deli. That's so weird.
Yeah.
I love
Well,
it.
like,
I
well, he
loved
had-
the 80s and 90s. That's the way it was in small towns.
He also
like-
had Ghost Dad, and I know that because that's also a holographic cover where Bill Cosby's head disappears. But it was mostly horror.
Yeah, it was almost exclusively horror, and we were obsessed with the holographic cover of Uncle Sam, and we must have rented that movie at least 3 times before we finally did like the VCR hooked up to another VCR to make a copy for ourselves.
Holy shit, you had one of those copies of Uncle Sam?
Yeah, and we would watch it constantly. Like remember,
dude, I've been
loving
podcasting
this
with
movie.
you for 6 fucking years and you've never mentioned that.
Well, because we never talked about Uncle Sam. This is why I wanted to do it last year. But you vetoed me.
Yeah, because I know what you did last summer is a better movie.
Questionable. So we watch this movie all the time, and I think back on how much I love this movie, and all I could remember was the potato sack race. So I think I just like this movie for a quick 5-second kill, but I remember watching this at sleepovers. This was like a big horror film in the Kelly brother portion of the household. It was actually, I'm not sure if Brian remembers this, for my middle school project, we had to do an interview with somebody. It was an English class. It was do an interview with somebody and videotape it. I had asked, does it have to be someone real? Because everyone was interviewing their grandparents or whatever. And the guy down the street had this awesome horror display that he would put up, and it was in October. So we got a costume and did an interview with the serial killer who was putting dead bodies in his front lawn. And I played the serial killer. My buddy Adam was the interviewer. And this was on the same VHS tape as that project. So to watch Uncle Sam, you had to sit through that 10-minute interview first. But I always remember that because I would be hey, I'm going to watch that interview because I still am pretty proud of it. As far as a middle school thing, I was this was creative. And we got an A in that class.
You did do a lot of creative stuff with that stuff. You got me a failing grade once because you did a project for me that my family was very busy. And this is completely off topic, but oh well. My family was a very busy family. Both our parents worked. So it was my parents wanted to help me with certain projects, but it would always be a last minute thing. Like
the sock puppets.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had to do this a video on this book that I read, and I forget what it was, but it was something about little people. I don't remember if it was leprechauns or something like that.
I'm thinking Phil Fondacaro.
Yeah, no, it was leprechauns or something like that. And I was like, Mom, I really like to do this project. She's like, you need to go to bed. Me and your brother will take care of it. So they filmed this video, and it was Matt with his knees on top of shoes to make him look small. And he opens up a fridge. He's like, oh, hello there. I'm here to tell you about this book. As a little person, I like to read about little people. And there's tons of stuff about little people in this book. So give it a read. Goodbye now. And I turned
That was all it was?
Yeah, and she's like, you don't mention anything about the book. It's you read the cover and the back of it and made a video. And I'm like, that's exactly what my mom and brother did.
Oh, it's our fault that you didn't tell us what the book was about.
Actually, yes.
Uncle Sam starts off on June 14th, and they find a destroyed helicopter that apparently happened 3 years ago in friendly fire. And as they're looking at the body of Sam Harper, he comes to life and kills the sergeant and the major while they inspect the wreckage. And then it just jumps to his hometown, which is called Twin Rivers, USA. And it's just a couple days from Independence Day. and we meet Sam's nephew, Jody, who idolizes him.
I thought it was Billy.
Is it Billy? I have Jody written down repeatedly.
I don't know. For sake of my notes, I'm going to keep saying Billy because they take up a lot of
Haven't you guys watched this movie 20 times a piece?
Yeah, but who pays attention to names?
Yeah. It's Jody. I just looked at IMDb.
Okay.
So Sam's body is delivered to his ex-wife and sister's house as separate people. They're like roommates or something. But then they're not roommates. I thought that they were roommates, but then it's established that they live in different houses, but they're just always hanging out, which is weird. That you would hang out with your brother. I don't know. It's weird. So
that's her sister-in-law.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know.
Because the mother of Jody's mom is Uncle Sam's sister, obviously. Yeah. And then the other blonde woman is Uncle Sam's
ex-wife.
No, they never got divorced.
Well, he's dead, so
it's his widow.
Widow, whatever.
No, there's a very different legal ramification here.
Either way, she's banging a cop.
Yeah. Is she? Because she won't even kiss him, you know?
That's true.
Yeah.
She won't kiss him in public.
But she gives him a chaste kiss on the cheek after their date, and he's like, "Can I come inside?"
She's a very good person.
Nah. No, she's got some serious sexual assault history going on. Where surprise, her brother is a fucking rapist. He was a serial molester of his sister, Jody's mom, and then was a wife beater / wife raper of the woman before deciding that he wants to go deploy to
legally kill.
To legally kill. Yes, thank you, Isaac Hayes, for that wonderful exposition in this film.
Yeah, where he gives a monologue about his phantom leg.
So this is where I'm just really excited about the 40 minutes that everyone hates of this movie.
Well, can I mention one more? Can I mention one more thing, and then we'll cut you loose?
All right, one more thing, and then I'm getting cut loose because I am really excited about this movie.
So you know that Jody is a disturbed child because he has a monotone talk the entire time, specifically when he is judging his teacher for protesting Vietnam in front of the entire class.
Yeah. I have all of his medals. I would like to put them on. Is actually one of the lines. I wrote it out with all the periods after each word.
So Uncle Sam used to say you were a coward.
Yeah. Also, so I'm guessing that Sam. So I don't understand Sam at all. So Sam must be the only zombie in cinema history raised from the dead by dirty commies, right?
Yeah.
That's this gets later on too.
I did have a line here. I thought I had it in here where the kid is talking about. Oh yeah. First of all, I put it all in bold. This kid is a chatty fucking Kathy. It's when he's trying to talk in the classroom and he won't shut up.
Yeah.
First of all, this town is going all out for 4th of July. No small town goes all out for 4th of July like this. I don't know. Anyway, so it's the day before the big parade, and the kid brings all of his dead uncle's medals to the class, and he wants to put them on. And he calls the teacher a deserter or a coward. And then he's staring at his box of medals and goes, "When I grow up, I'm going in the army just like Sam did, and I'll do whatever the president says to do because he knows better."
Yeah. So the reason that I love the 40 minutes of nothing in this movie is, as everyone will begin to learn if they don't know now, I have a weird I love serial killers. I have a weird thing with true crime and serial killers. They fascinate me. And the character development of everybody that is attached to Jody, who I will be referring to as Billy because I'm not going back and changing my notes. So everyone that's attached to Billy is making him a future serial killer. This kid is just the recipe for being a serial killer. And I'll just give you a quick rundown, save everyone 40 minutes of their life to give you the character development. So there's Billy, who we talked about, aka Jody. And he's like, "Hey, I like to sleep next to a picture of my dead uncle and carry his medals around. I'm a really hard conservative that thinks people that don't go to war are pussies, like my commie bitch teacher. I'm a true American patriot, and I can't wait to go to war and kill for my country like a man. Also, I'm 9 years old. And then Billy's mom, and she's like, hey, Billy, I know you really liked your dead uncle, but I wasn't a big fan of him, and I'm going to say that I think he's a piece of shit. I'm also going to imply that I don't really love your father too much either. All right, go to bed, and remember, you're 9 years old. And then you meet Billy's mom's boyfriend, and he's all like, Billy, sit down, okay? Let me tell you something. By the way, I'm the guy who's porking your mother, all right? All right, it's about taxes, Billy, okay? So the government, they like to take our money, and that's called taxes. So what I do is I find loopholes to get out of paying mine. Also, you're 9 years old. And then we meet Isaac Hayes, and he's like, I know what you're thinking, Billy. You think I got my dick blown off. That's what you say. But it's not true. Matter of fact, this dick made my children. And then in return, my children use their dicks to make my grandchildren. It's a circle of life, Billy. And this is getting repetitive. But for sake of really driving it home, you are 9 years old. And that is the first 40 minutes of this movie.
My favorite thing in your entire rant is that Billy's mom's boyfriend, in your mind, sounds like Mr. DNA from Jurassic Park. It's like,
oh man, I had
in the land of dinosaurs, there was no Texas.
All right, so now the movie really gets started. There's some flag burning.
The fact that they have the fucking casket in the dining room to living room of this house.
Yeah. Hey, that used to happen. There's a country song about it that Brian and I like.
By Ray Stevens.
Yes, Sitting Up with the Dead.
That is so weird. That sounds scripted.
So our grandpop used to have this VHS tape called Ray Stevens' Greatest Hits. And for those of you who don't know Ray Stevens, later in life, he became a very unbearable, like, hyper-Republican country artist. But in the 70s and 80s, he was basically like country's version of Weird Al Yankovic, where he would do these really, like, he's most known for the song The Streak. Oh, yes, they call him The Streak. Like,
oh, yeah, I know that song.
But, like, he had this music video tape, and these videos they're still kind of entertaining as adults, but as kids, they were great. And there's a song called Sitting Up with the Dead. And it's based on the fact that, like, down south, that was like a tradition where, like, when someone died the day before the funeral, the casket would be laid out in the living room and the whole family sat in the living room with the body to, like, have a final night together. But it was about how his grandfather had died, and his grandfather had, like, a terrible posture problem where he was hunched over. So the only way to get him in the casket was they had to rope him in. But during a thunderstorm, the rope snapped and his body popped out of the casket, and it scared the whole family. And he and that was what the song was about. But like the video,
does the guy go surprise?
No, it's even better. The old man in the video is played by the dude from all the Ernest movies. That's like the cop that never talks. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, so there's some flag burning, and that's what causes Uncle Sam to finally rise. And this is where we meet Peepin' Tom Uncle Sam, which is just so absurd. And the girl she looks at the window, and there's a guy who's standing approximately 12 feet in the air to stare at her, dressed as Uncle Sam. And she goes, ah! Like,
damn it, Willie!
And like everything about this is weak. I have the word weak ass scream 3 different times, because then Willie is trying to run away from Uncle Sam and he falls, and in the nerdiest voice I've ever heard in a movie, he goes, I gotta wear this to the parade tomorrow. But now it's all messed up.
But
and
when he's peeping in, they should know the way that they tried to do it was they tried to make it almost like a fake scare where you think that it's Uncle Sam looking at her. But then you're kind of like, it's probably not, because it's very tough to get an Uncle Sam costume at midnight when you're a corpse. So I think it's someone else. And yes, it turns out to be Willie, the town pervert, because that's what all of our movies involve.
Everybody's got a town pervert in the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
But he didn't soliloquize before getting killed, which is really depressing about this film.
No, but he does scream like this while he's being stabbed.
Also, he sounds like Mort Goldman from Family Guy.
Oh, yeah.
Let me hear your war cry.
But then, I mean, once Willie dies and Uncle Sam gets this Uncle Sam costume, there's about 40 minutes left of the movie, and every 5 minutes, someone is getting killed.
Yeah.
But most of them are fairly tame.
They're incredibly tame. I don't even care, though.
But, man, like the teacher getting a hatchet to the face.
Okay, why would you keep an axe in your classroom?
Sorry. The 3 tame deaths that I was referring to are the flag burners, which those are just like that. I mean, that's forgettable. Like it's like throwing someone in a grave. Yeah, throwing someone in a grave. He hangs someone from a flagpole. Which, like, how has the dead body dangling from a flagpole not been discovered? Question. So Jody sneaks out to enjoy the parade because he's been grounded. And then
his love for country is so strong.
Yeah, he's like, I am not missing this. But this is where we meet Barry, the blind wheelchaired kid who was blinded by from a fireworks accident, who apparently has some type of psychic link with Sam.
Oh, God, it's so stupid.
But then my favorite character, the douchey blonde kid, goes up on stage and just massacres the national anthem. And then he moons the crowd. Yeah, kid.
But that the poor kid is like, what, 9-10 years old. He's in a wheelchair. You could tell he's just clearly in a bad accident and self-conscious about it. So what does his fucking mom do? She wants to show off the freak show to make the whole town feel guilty what they did and try to ruin everyone else's good time. That mom is the worst person in this movie.
Performed by
I don't know her name. I don't know her name.
Souls, who I just met at Cinema Wasteland, and that's how forgettable this movie is. I saw PJ Souls and I was like, I loved you in Halloween. I loved you in Carrie. I couldn't remember that she was an Uncle Sam, Oh, man. But she's great. She's awesome. This might be her best role.
But so douchey blonde kid, who I believe was also friends with the kids in the graveyard. I think that's implied.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He gets decapitated by Sam in the most violent potato sack race that has ever happened.
I was so glad he got killed.
Oh yeah, but it's probably the best kill in the movie, even though it's like super. I mean, we could recreate that kill very easily.
Oh, but it's so great.
But it's so good. It's the extra gore dangling underneath the head that really makes it pop.
It makes my bulge pop. So before that part though, I took multiple notes about this scene where Uncle Sam is caressing the blind kid's face. And I'm thinking, no one's watching this dude in a creepy Uncle Sam costume stroke this mutilated blind child's face. He's in a wheelchair, and it's going on for minutes. Yeah. And he goes, and the kid goes, "Who are you?
Yeah.
What do you want?" I want what you want.
You nailed that child so perfectly. Because that is exactly. Who are you? What do you want?
But he's like not really shocked.
And Sam talks like the disembodied voice on the phone from the first Black Christmas movie.
Yes. Oh my God. Except he doesn't call anybody a pretty piggy cunt. Oh my God, what if you would have called that kid that? Holy shit. He's not into boys. He's just into girls apparently, and that's why he rapes every woman he's ever met. But this is what he says when the kid asks him who he is. He goes, "Even in darkness you can see me better than those with eyes. You know me." And the kid's still like, "Yeah, but can you give me a hint?"
Help me out. Because you sound like Mantis from Metal Gear Solid.
So
that would make so much sense, though.
So then he also kills his sister's boyfriend as he's dressed like Abe Lincoln. And this is when his sister and his mom finally sit Jody down and be like, "Look, we were both raped. Like, stop praising your Uncle Sam. He's a piece of shit." But
this conversation have come up in the previous 9 years of this child's life. Not necessarily like, hey, he's a rapist, but more like, hey, he's a piece of shit. You probably shouldn't like.
Yeah, he beat us a
idolize him.
lot. Like, you
Yeah,
don't have
you
to get
can-
into
you
the
can-
sexual stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you can tamper it down and be like, yo, he used to hit us a lot. Like,
Yeah, like kids would
he's-
understand that. They wouldn't understand the sexual nature of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Jody, let me
but
tell
we-
you something. When a man and woman love each other, they have sex. When a man loves a woman and a woman is not interested in the man, sometimes they still have sex and it hurts the woman. That's called rape. You are 9 years old, Jody.
We're forgetting the best cameo in the movie for me, which is there's also a corrupt congressman that's in
Oh
town
yeah, he's great. He's awesome.
who's played by the star of Alligator.
Yeah.
Oh my
speaking of-
god.
Speaking of my obscure mind, I thought it was so funny. It was such a. This is so stupid, but it was the star from Alligator, right?
Yeah.
And it was black, not well, it was black. It was Isaac Hayes, black, aka reminded me of Chubbs from Happy Gilmore, and then Abe Lincoln. All three of them side by side in a scene. It was the end of Happy Gilmore.
I'm actually just laughing at Matt losing his fucking shit right here.
When you said Chubbs, I knew where you were going. It's like, oh shit. Oh Jesus. All right. So then he blows up the congressman, which is a pretty awesome
We
death.
missed. Wait. Before we get to the best kill of the whole movie, which is the impaled on a flagpole, we missed the girl. Like she's like 14. She's got 3 joints. Like, what are you gonna do? Smoke all 3 joints? No 14-year-old is gonna smoke 3 joints. And then she gets a hatchet. She gets her head chopped off by the cleaver. And then Uncle Sam takes his like purple tongue out because he was eating warheads and licks the cleaver. I don't know why. That's just
Well, no. He licks the cleaver after he decapitates the blonde kid, and then he puts the blonde kid's head on the grill where the stoner chick is working, and he smashes her face into the grill.
okay, yeah. Sorry. Oh man, this movie's really forgettable. I watched this 2 days ago and I can't remember. But wait, before we get to right before the guy gets blown up, this band has been playing since mid-afternoon and it is now nighttime. I don't know how long this band has been playing, but that is actually what takes me out of the movie.
Well, I mean, they're like a all president like jam band.
And they're terrible. They're awful. It's like the pianist wants to be in a ragtime band. The upright bass player wants to be in a rockabilly band. The singer/guitar player wants to be Eddie Van Halen. It's insane.
So not only does so Sam blows up the congressman, he kills his ex-wife's new beau, and then that's when they go to Isaac Hayes, Jed, and they're like, "Yo, we need you to kill Uncle Sam," and Jed's like, "That's impossible," and then Jody's basically just like, "But it's just like your phantom limb,"
Yeah.
and he's like, "That makes sense. Let me get my cannon."
Yeah. Sam's the killer. That's impossible. Well, I can see how that's a possibility. Let's go.
Also, you're 9 years old.
Also, let me get my full-scale cannon with full cannonballs. I have multiple of with all of the gunpowder needed. That's a Civil War cannon. It's not like I don't understand this town at all.
Oh, Jesus. So, like, yeah, basically, Sam is stomping towards Isaac Hayes, and he's blaming him for everything. He's like, "You told me war would make me a man, and this is what it made me." And also, Jody's 9. He's like, he blows up Uncle Sam
Twice.
and then it just ends. Like, it's just over. That's the movie.
I was so shocked by nothing more in this film than, or I was the most shocked by the ending of this film in that. So the kid was fucked. Like, he's so fucked up before the starting of this movie, right? Like, he's just got mental issues. And then his idol comes back from the dead and wants him to, there's a line that we missed where he's, okay. I wanted to be just like you. And then Sam goes, "You have to be dead first. Are you volunteering? And the kid's like, yeah, let's go outside and show Isaac Hayes the fact that I'm going to let you kill me. I don't really know what the juju is that they got that is going to like let the kid come back from the dead too. It's not really, I guess it's okay that it's not explained because this movie is an hour and 40 minutes and that's way too long. At the end, I was so shocked that the kid wasn't more fucked up because he had just seen his undead uncle get exploded twice. But because I would have loved it if the kid was even more fucked up at the end, if his mom is lovingly watching him burn his army toys, instead he was burning all of his other toys and keeping his army toys. Like, okay, I'm even more fucked up and into the military now. Because I feel like that like we talked about in Slashdance, there was this kernel of a good idea, and then through the writing process and then obviously the production and like splicing, editing, everything, that kernel of a good idea got watered down so that you could barely taste it.
So I only have one other note, and it's more just a thought than anything, and I wanted to get your guys' take on it. But like, the actor who plays Jody had to be the only person that showed up for that audition, right? Because
he's related to somebody in the movie. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like there's like, no, like, come on, that's your best option that has made itself known. Anyway, I'm glad that we watched it. This has been like a long time coming. I think I suggested this for last 3 4th of Julys.
Yeah. Well, what did we do for our first 4th of July?
I can't remember. I think we just opted to do nothing. We were just like, let's just do a regular episode. We did the best of episode because it was literally July 5th. Okay. So we just put it out on July 4th.
But is Jody the next Uncle Sam? Because it was like a weird ending where, but it seemed like it could have made sense because of the psychological abuse.
But that's what I'm saying is that they should have gone for that. That's the kernel of the idea. The kernel of the idea should have been, okay, we need to make a scathing satire of the military-industrial complex and how it leaves soldiers to die and they're forgotten. Because Isaac Hayes he has 2 whole soliloquies about it, but it never hits. Then at the end, they should have had the kid be the new Uncle Sam. And even if they hadn't have made an Uncle Sam 2, which they could have made it because I bet they could have made one for $200,000. It's not like this had a giant budget anyway. They could have at least set it up.
Yeah.
How many horror movies have we seen where they set up for a sequel that they never do? I'm okay with it.
And they do the, I touched you or I was too involved with you and now I'm the killer now. Or this affected me.
Yeah, that's
Corey
the entire Silent
Feldman.
Night.
Yeah, Corey
Silent Night,
Feldman,
Deadly Night. Yeah.
Friday the 13th, Daniel Harris in Halloween
5, yeah. Halloween 4 and 5, yeah.
With James Franco in Spider-Man.
The smell of the video store. I love this place.
You could look at the walls of VHS covers.
We had to choose just by looking at the cover and reading the crappy synopsis.
You were leaving with one.
And the only way to know what new movies were coming out is you actually had to watch the trailers instead of skipping them.
Right, we didn't have the internet to look it up. We had one guy named Todd behind the counter that would tell us what was good or not.
And Todd strangely liked way too many romantic comedies.
Yes, but you always knew when the boobies were coming because Todd made sure.
Oh, and remember all the awful CG we had to put up with in the mid-90s?
We talk about that a lot, don't we?
Join us on Analog Jones and the Tempo Film, where we talk about VHS tapes.
And we wax nostalgia like none other.
Available on iTunes.
And Podbean.
So what did you guys watch this week?
So I have 3 things I want to talk about real quick. And they're all not good, but I don't know how I feel about most of them. So I watched Bad Match on Netflix, and it was a relatively recent film. I think it was 2005 or 2006. And it really upset me. It's about this guy who is obsessed with Tinder, and he's a hookup man. Like, he's always fucking a new girl. And then he bangs this chick, and she gets revenge on him. And she's like ruining his life. And then he's like, you just have to admit what you're doing. And it just spirals out of control, and everybody dies, basically.
Nice. But
he is such a fucking prick that I was watching it thinking, like, is there's going to be a turnaround? Is she going to be a badass? No. I'm not even I'm not even gonna like get into the spoilers of it, but he's just such a prick. Everybody's awful in the movie, and it was not worth the hour and 20 minutes or whatever it took to burn through that on a Saturday morning. I highly recommend you avoid it and avoid pretty much everything on Netflix horror wise, because they don't pick good horror movies. Then I watched Murder Party on Shudder.
I fucking love that movie. I love the director.
You and Matt are diametrically opposed to me because I really did not enjoy it. I didn't hate it. Like, I get what they were trying to say. I thought that it was entertaining, but I don't think it deserves the kind of praise that Matt has heaped on it for the last 2 years.
I think I liked that movie even more after I saw Green Room, because it shows how much of a range that director has, because they are two very different movies.
If you watch,
you told me that and I was like, holy shit.
If you watch Blue Ruin and Green Room, it shows the skill that he has, and it makes me respect the movie more differently, because I watched Blue Ruin and I watched Green Room, which are just phenomenal fucking movies. Like, just well written, well shot, well directed. And it just makes me feel like, okay, so he was just having a blast with this. Like, this just seemed like a very fun movie with a bunch of friends that got together and made. It didn't look like he was giving it 100% as much. Like, this is just fucking fun. Let's have a good time. Because he's got
and
the
it's
skill.
low budget. I get what they were going for. I think that my problem with it is the fact that everyone in that movie is unlikable.
Yeah, no,
and I have a hard time with movies like that. I will fully admit that.
My first time seeing that movie was actually right before a Halloween party. I'd helped my friends Mark and Laura set up their house, and my buddy Mark was like, I found this movie like 2 years ago, and I watch it every Halloween. And it was like, the movie was like brand new. Like, this was before Blue Ruin, before Green Room. He had just like stumbled upon this movie and bought it. And he's like, I watch it every year now before the Halloween party to get psyched for the Halloween party. So like the group of us who had set up watched it. Then the following year, my buddy Graham built the night costume and like came to the party as like he spent like a couple months just collecting cardboard boxes and like cutting and taping and like built a full night costume out of cardboard because of that movie. And it was like, so like, I think it's a big thing among my friends that makes me like it so much.
Maybe it's more of a party movie, but you know, I have never been able to appreciate films where there are no redeeming characters. It's just a thing for me. I have to root for somebody, and I know that you're supposed to root for the fucking moron protagonist, but he's not likable. I guess that's a different writing tactic, you know.
I'm guessing here. I'm not positive. I feel like that movie, to me, that movie feels like, and I don't know the history of the director, but I imagine that the director went to film school, realized that all of the people that he was in class with were fucking elitist idiots. And just made a movie making fun of them to be like, I don't need your fucking school. I'm going to make my own movie kind of attitude. Because it really, like, every character in there is such a parody of like the douchey art school kid in college.
But I went to a school that had a lot of students like that, and they were tertiarily related to me via, like, I went to a liberal arts school. So I was in I did sociology. And so I was in like a science-y kind of like a more straightforward major. But all of my friends and people that I lived near, we would party with those art kids because those kids knew how to drink, you know? And I have definitely mellowed on my hatred for modern art, for contemporary art, because of my relationship with Megan, because she was an art history major and she's explained to me the whole point. But for me, a lot of it feels like postmodern contemporary art, like what they're making fun of in the end of Murder Party. Oh, pretty much all of Murder Party, but specifically that art installation at the end. I get the whole like, let's make fun of the navel-gazing artistry concept that pretty much got popularized in the 70s and early 80s and has just gone, it's like an Ouroboros. It's just a snake eating its own tail forever now because there's nothing else to say. And so it's like, then I guess we're going to say nothing and just, we're going to do something absurd and then assign it meaning when people ask us to assign it meaning. And it's like, okay, do art for art's sake. That's totally fine. But don't try and imbue it with social ramifications if that's not your original intent. And I don't know. I've definitely mellowed on my hatred for that. So I felt like that maybe that is also why I don't love that film, because I felt like it was kind of a ham-fisted send up of that
Yeah.
style of art.
Meanwhile, I saw it while I was in college dealing with those people, so I feel like I was like, okay.
If I had seen this movie in 2003, it would have been like when I saw May. You know, I would think of it much more fondly.
Yeah. All right, so what was the third one?
Humanoids from the Deep. And I will tell you what, after watching, what the fuck did I watch? I watched something else. Oh God. Oh, so right after I watched Murder Party, I was trying to work my way in Shudder down my watch list, because when I work from home, I'll just put something on in the background. And Murder Party, I did that with, and it was fine because I didn't have to really pay attention. It was just like, oh, when people start screaming, I look over. And then I started watching Night of Something Strange, which is about rape zombies, and it is one of the worst pieces of shit I've ever seen. Do not watch it. It is not worth your time. It's not like cult movie. It's not like a John Waters gross out in a good way. It's not like Slither in a gross way. It is just like bare bones, nothing to it. Nobody can act. Nobody can do special effects. Nobody can handle a fucking camera. The jokes are awful. The jokes are all sexual. It's like a 12-year-old made this film for his art class and still got a D. And it was about rape zombies. And so after I had seen that, I was like, you know what? Humanoids from the Deep, fucking charming. That's all I have to say.
Well, I'll go real quick. My buddy sold me a bunch of old DVDs that he was about to throw out. One of them was Fear with Mark Wahlberg. I rewatched it, and it's still a pretty great movie.
Yes.
All right, on to you, Brian.
I watched a Netflix docuseries called Evil Geniuses. I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
So if anyone has seen the movie with Michael Cera's stunt double, I can't think of his name right now, but 30 Minutes or Less, the guy from Social Network.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Shit,
Michael,
I just went blank.
Oh, you mean Lex Luthor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg.
I was like, Michael Cera has never once done a stunt.
But
you caught their stunt doubles.
Yeah. So when 30 Minutes or Less came out, my brother Matt, who you all know, I assume, told me that it was actually inspired by a true story. And I looked it up, and at the time, you know, it was just pretty much like, yeah, this happened. These people got caught. This is like a random, you know, conspiracy to it. And I didn't think much of it. I thought it was like an article worth of information. Holy shit. I mean, it's only 4 episodes, very binge worthy, but like for some like white trash, backwoods people, like these people really are fucking geniuses. I mean, like just evil fucking geniuses. That's the name of the show. But yeah, check it out.
Wait. I didn't catch. What's the name of the show?
It is called Evil Geniuses. It is on Netflix.
Oh, okay. Clever.
Yeah.
Clever.
So if you like things that are evil and also respect geniuses, I would just checking out Evil Geniuses once again on Netflix.
I just spat. I laughed so hard.
All right, well, that was Uncle Sam from 1996. Happy 4th of July, just around the corner. I hope you guys all enjoyed the Twitch stream that we did a week ago. And do not forget that our 1 year anniversary, or 1 year, Jesus Christ, our 3-year anniversary is right around the corner. So you've got a best of year 3 coming up anytime soon. I will give you guys a quick heads up. So July, because of conventions for me and weddings for Scott, and, you know, it's the summer. Sometimes we like to enjoy things just as much as you guys do. We're going to be taking like a mild hiatus. And by that, I mean that we're not going to be recording new episodes like this where we're in like our quote unquote studio. We'll call it a studio. But instead, we're going to be dropping the live episodes that we did at Monster Mania. And we're going to release a very old episode of Reddit Horror Club. It was actually the 10th episode of Reddit Horror Club. It's not particularly funny, but I think it's an interesting episode. It's the first time that Scott and I ever spoke to each other. So I think that that's like a cool little thing to throw out there, because it is literally where Horror Movie Night was born. But before that, we've got one more film that we're going to discuss before our brief 2 to 3 week hiatus. And it is a movie that Scott has been insisting we do in July because it's a Christmas movie. It's a joke. See, it's Christmas in July. He's funny like that. So we will talk about that next week. Thank you for listening, and we will be back in just 1 week. But thank you for sticking with us for over 150 episodes. We appreciate it.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.